Hey, all right, week 3, we've got our first test. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So first off, you had a practice exam that most of you completed last week. A few of you didn't. So first off, if you did not do the practice exam last week, make sure you do it because this test uses Respondus Lockdown Browser. Even if you have used that in the past, I've noticed that some students have issues from one semester to the next. So I want to make sure we're really comfortable with that before we take the real test. If you didn't take the practice exam, or like if you had technical issues and you didn't let me know about it before the due date, that was only worth 5 points. It's not going to wreck your grade at the end of the semester. If you can't take the real test this week, Monday and Tuesday, that's a 100-point exam. And if you didn't do the practice exam, that's going to sound mean when I say that, but that's kind of on you because the practice exam was to make sure that we could work through all those issues. So before you do the real test, make sure you can do the practice exam just to make sure you can do Respondus. That's number 1. Now, number 2, and this one is just as big, maybe even bigger, the practice exam was to make sure that you can read and follow the instructions for the test, all right? So there's an environment video where you've got to show your desk or table surface or whatever area is right in front of you. And then like a quick 360 of your surroundings. You got to clear everything away before you start the test. You have to do those things in order to get credit for the real test. So I want to make sure that you can follow that. Now, a lot of you did the practice exam, but there might have been some issues. So I get this move a lot where like during the environment video, I'll have students do that. I really don't care what's over your shoulder. I need to see what's in front of you and around you and all that. So check your messages. For a handful of you, I had to send you a message just to let you know, thanks for taking the practice exam, but make sure you make these changes before the real test to make sure you can get your credit. So anyway, if you didn't get a message, if you took the exam and you got your points and I did not send you a message, then everything was good. But for everybody else, either make sure that you take the practice exam to begin with. It's open now. Or check your messages and make sure that I didn't send you any feedback because I want to make sure there's not any confusion on what you got to do for the real test. Okay? All right, so exam 1 is on Monday and Tuesday. That's going to be open for 48 hours. Schedule a time. Even though it's open for 48 hours, I want you like right now to say, this is when I'm going to take the test. Because what I noticed, I used to give the test, it was just open for 24 hours. And when I opened it up to 48, I noticed a lot more students were missing the test. They were skipping it. I don't know, but I think it's easier to put it off when it's open for a couple days instead of just one day. I'm still going to leave it open for 48 hours, but I want you to make a plan, like set an alarm on your phone. This is when I'm going to take this test. Okay? That way you won't accidentally forget about it. Once you have taken the practice exam, the real test, once you've taken the real test on Monday or Tuesday, you can go ahead and start on material for the next exam. So Chapter 3 is on organic chemistry. It's different than the chemistry that we did in Chapter 2. This is going to be looking at the molecules that make up living things. So it's different material. But watch that lecture video, and then there is a review quiz that's going to be due Sunday, June the 20th. So, upcoming Sunday. Go ahead and do that. There is a discussion board. Now, this is a new type of an assignment. We haven't done this yet. Every week that we have a test, I'm going to post a discussion board that's going to be on some of the material that the test was on. Honestly, the reason I do that with online classes, one of the huge downsides is we don't get to have discussions. I like to do that in my regular classes, is just to bring up a topic and we can talk about it every once in a while. Since we can't do that in person, I've got a discussion board where on this one I've got a video that I want you to watch. And you need to do 2 things. You need to, number 1, leave a post about something about that video you found interesting or something that related to what we talked about in class. You're just leaving a post saying, this is what I found interesting about this, or this is what it reminded me of that we talked about in class. All right? That's part 1. Part 2 is you need to find another student's post and comment on their post. So like, have an opinion about what they said. Don't be a jerk about it. Don't say like that wasn't a good post. But just trying to have a discussion, trying to build up where we can talk about a topic that we've covered in class. All right. Now it's 10 points. This should be a really easy chance to earn some easy points. All you got to do is watch the video, leave a post, and respond to another student. And that's a 10-point assignment for doing that. All right. Just make sure you don't forget that because it's new, because you're not familiar with doing that one. Again, make a point to do that discussion board. All right, finally, after that, we have Lab 2. So Lab 1 last week was on research and the scientific method, but you didn't actually do a lot of hands-on stuff. You didn't have equipment that you used. This one is on biological macromolecules. That's the stuff that we talked about in Chapter 3, the lecture video you're going to watch this week after the test. So we're going to have a bunch of different substances, and we're going to test to see if they have different types of carbohydrates, which are like sugars. We're going to check and see if they've got lipids or proteins. So two things. Number one, because you've got equipment from your lab kit that's going to be involved in this, it could take a little bit more time. So don't wait until the last minute to do this. Number two, you are going to have to provide some material for this lab. So if you look at the list that's underneath the description, you're going to have, it says a bottle of distilled water. That's mostly for cleaning. We are going to use it to test a few things in here too. Distilled water, tap water sometimes can have some different contaminants or things in it that can mess up your results. But if you'll go to the grocery store, you can buy a gallon of distilled water for like less than $1. And that gallon will last you all semester because we're going to use this a good bit in some of the other labs. Okay, so water, eggs, make sure you just need one egg. Make sure that you've got that around the house. If not, you might have to make a trip to the grocery store. And then other than that, okay, so you need 2% milk. Get a small, like if you don't have 2%, get a small container. Skim or whole, sometimes that can kind of throw off your results. So get a small thing of 2% milk. A russet potato, so just get a potato from the produce section. And most everything else you should have. Vegetable oil, check and see if you've got that. The rest of it is things like paper towels, dish soap, pen and pencil. It says an oven mitt is optional. It'd be good to have that. You're going to have to boil some water. So you'll need an oven mitt, fork, spoon, Sharpie, or some type of a marker. All right. So just a heads up, that can take a little while to do this lab, especially because it's more hands-on with equipment that you need. So the lab website, I think it recommends 4 hours for this lab. A lot of students say it doesn't take that long, but I would set aside at least 4 hours or so just to make sure you're not rushed at the very end. This is not something you want to start like at 10 p.m. on a Sunday because you're not going to have enough time to finish it. But if you'll start early in the week and then you can like do part 2 or part 3 later, just give yourself plenty of time to complete everything. All right, that's got it. If you have any questions, especially leading up to the test, if there's something you're still kind of confused on, if you'll send me a message and let me know, I'll try to help explain it a little bit before you take your test. All right, have a good weekend or whenever you're watching this, and I will see you later.